Hey Canucks fans, we got 3 things to get through today. I want to invite you to my own hockey pool. I want to give you my first round predictions for the playoffs that start today. And I want to answer a few of your questions. So let's get into it. I am Canuck Clay, and this is my Canucks take all in one take. It's Clay's Canucks commentary for Monday, May the 2nd. If you're new, here's what you should do. Hit the subscribe button now for daily Canucks insight that's positive, timely, and trustworthy. Thanks to those of you who joined me for my live stream last night. A lot of fun, a lot of people, and probably my worst dad joke ever. Watch the stream, the last 1 minute of the stream, if you want to somehow, for whatever reason, want to relive that. And thanks to everyone for your great feedback to my Ben Kuzma, Brock Besser, that whole thing yesterday, that whole exchange from the Canucks media availability. Thanks for your feedback on my video. It's actually my most watched vlog in quite a long while, so thanks again for that. Today, I want to talk to you about my hockey pool, then we'll do my first round playoff predictions, and then I'll answer some questions as part of Ask Me Anything. So I'm running my NHL playoff confidence pool like I always do, and this year I smartened up and I put it onto a Google form so it's easier for me to track. The only trick is that you have to make sure that your math is correct. So it's very simple. There's 16 teams. You give each of those 16 teams a point value between 1 and 16, and every time that team wins a series, you get that number of points. So you might go Florida 16, Colorado 15, Carolina 14, Calgary 13, all the way down to Toronto 1. Just kidding. Well, maybe not actually. And then you predict the Conn Smythe winner for MVP for another 25 points, and that's it. I update the standings after every round, and then the winner at the end gets 60% of the pot. So it's $15 to enter. Pretty cheap considering I'm expecting about 40 entries. So maybe winnings of close to $360 to the winner, which is pretty exciting. Not bad on a $15 investment. So all you got to do is go to the link that I have in my descriptions. It's tinyurl.com/CCC Hockey Pool. When you go to CCC Hockey Pool, you will see all the rules laid out as I just did, but in a more detailed fashion. And the link is there. All you got to do is type in your answers, and then it'll get to me automatically. But once again, make sure that you use every point total only once. Go to the link. You'll see what I mean. I hope you join me. I already have 20 entries. I expect it to be about 40 by the time the deadline comes along, and that's Wednesday. Wednesday at 5 p.m. before the start, around the start of Game 2s. I need your picks, and I need your payment by then. So check it out. tinyurl.com/CCC Hockey Pool. Everything is there. Speaking of the playoffs, they begin tonight. Yes, the Canucks are not in it, but that's okay. Kind of what we were anticipating all the way back from since November. But I do want to give you quickly my first round predictions. And I actually did the whole bracket as part of my live stream last night. I went pretty quickly. I wasn't really thinking too much about the games played, but I'll try and refine those guesses right now. So let's start in the West. Colorado playing against Nashville. I know Nashville played Colorado well in the regular season, but I think Colorado simply has too much firepower. And yes, a nice battle between Yossi and Makar, but I like Colorado's firepower over Nashville. I just think it's Colorado's year. So I'm going to take Colorado in 5, actually. Then you have Minnesota and St. Louis. I can't stand St. Louis. There's something about Binnington that just irks me still. And I really like Minnesota with Kaprizov and Fiala and their guys. So I'm going with Minnesota over St. Louis in a very tough series, 7 games. So I got Colorado, I got Minnesota. Then in Pacific Division, Calgary versus Dallas. Calgary playing well, a lot of ex-Canucks. Dallas really struggling down the end of the season. So I'm going Flames in 5. And then Edmonton, LA. I keep going back and forth on this one. I could see LA with their veteran presence and their youth kind of defeating Edmonton, but I could also see McDavid and Draisaitl stepping up, Kane as well, and Hyman, and overcoming their goalie woes. So I'm going Edmonton in 6. So again, on the West, Colorado in 5, Minnesota in 7, Calgary in 5, Edmonton in 6. Yes, all favorites. I recognize that. In the East, it's a little different. I am taking Florida over Washington in 5. I think Florida simply has too much firepower over an aging Washington team. Tampa, Toronto. Now, I have nothing against Toronto. I don't necessarily want to see Steve Dangle and Hot Take go crazy when Toronto loses. But Tampa is my favorite team aside from Vancouver and Winnipeg, as you know. So I just think Tampa's experience, and I think Toronto might have struggle a little bit under the bright lights, under the pressure. So I'm going Tampa over Toronto in 6. So I got Florida in 5, Tampa in 6, setting up for a battle of Florida, just as well as there's going to be a battle of Alberta, according to my predictions, in the West. Then in the Metro Division, Carolina and Boston, I've gone back and forth. They have a history in the playoffs. I think Boston is a really good team, but I think Carolina is it's their year at least to move at least one round. So let's go Carolina over Boston in 7. And then Pittsburgh Rangers. I know Pittsburgh's missing Tristan Jarry, but I think their veteran presence is going to overcome an upstart Rangers team who weren't in the playoffs last season. So I'm going Pittsburgh in 6. So there's my East is Florida in 5, Tampa in 6, Carolina in 7, and Pittsburgh in 6. So I have 2 what you'd say upsets when it comes to seeding in the East. So again, Colorado, Minnesota, Calgary, and Edmonton in the West, Florida, Tampa, Carolina, and Pittsburgh in the East. Then I'll worry about round 2 when we get there, and so on and so forth. So make sure you leave your predictions in the comments below. Would love to know your thoughts on the first round. Then we can compare and contrast after the first round is done. Finally, I want to answer some of your questions. Thank you. Only a few today, but that gave me time to talk about that playoff pool and my playoff bracket. So let's start with Tyler. He says, what is your ideal game day routine, and when do you arrive for warm-up? I presume you're talking about the Canucks and not my roller hockey team. So let's go with the Vancouver Canucks. Typically on a weekday, I'm coming from work. So if someone's meeting me, they'll usually come to my office first, i.e. Gail or my son Sean. We'll drive to the game together. I will park somewhere on Dunsmuir Street. And then I usually arrive between 6:30 and 6:45. So I don't make a point to arrive by 6:30. So I'm coming from work. I get to the game between 6:30 and 6:45. The very first thing I do once I get in the game is I go to section 309 guest services and I fill out my Bud Light Good Sport card that gets me a free Pepsi. Then I take that card, I go redeem it, get my bottle of Pepsi, and then usually I'll head over to 122 for my carved sandwich. So then I have my carved sandwich, I have my bottle of Pepsi, and then I'm in my seat before 7 o'clock. I'm not big. I don't have to see all the warm-ups, and I don't have to see all the pregame videos. I've seen a lot of them already. I've been in a couple of them, the pregame hype spots. So as long as I'm sitting by 7 with my carved sandwich in hand and my Pepsi, I am good to go. Great question, Tyler. Anthony says, what do you think the team needs to be competitive, especially in Canadian market? Well, even if you take the Canadian market out of it, I hear what you're saying, that there's always a lot of pressure playing in a Canadian market, and we see 3 Canadian teams in the playoffs, Calgary, Toronto, and Edmonton. I think there's enough good players and enough experience on this team, players-wise, where they don't worry about it being a Canadian market. I think Bruce Boudreau has showed that he can handle a Canadian market, and I can't wait to see what Alvin and Rutherford what they do in their first off-season in a Canadian market. I think, so even if you take the Canadian market out of it, say, what do you think the team needs to be competitive? They got to continue to develop their core stars, i.e. Demko, Pedersen, Hughes, Besser, Garland, Podkolzin, Hoglander, all those guys, Horvat and Miller to some extent. And I think the biggest thing is they got to really shore up their defense. I would love to see them move Pullman. I would love to see them bring in a stronger right shot D. And I'm fine on the left if you go OEL, Hughes, and Rathbone. Then on the right, you have Myers, Shen, Dermott, but someone else who's better than those 3 guys on the right. So those are the 2 things. Continue to develop stars. Continue, I guess, to build out the prospect pool slowly but surely, shed some salary through some minor trades like a Pullman, like a Dickinson, and then shore up the right side of the D. Scott says, is it true they're replacing all the seats at Rogers Arena this offseason? I have not heard that to be true. I know a lot of people desire that, but I have not heard that to be true. So we will see if that actually happens. All I've heard is rumors. I haven't heard anything substantiated so far, but I know a lot of people would love to see a change from those red seats. And finally, Nuts and Bolts says this. He goes, at the end of his question, he goes, I predict that you will ignore this and I will be right. Well, no, Nuts and Bolts, I'm not going to ignore this. I'm not sure why you always type all your questions in all caps though, and you seem to be very, very fascinated with asking me about songs or opening videos. So I'm going to read it because I'm not going to ignore it. You said, Clay, do you think the Vancouver Canucks opening videos can predict the future like what happened in the 1920 season with the COVID pandemic, and the 2021-2022 season Heroes Return predicted the invasion or devastation of Ukraine? I think that's a bit of a stretch. Would you be more curious of what the next Vancouver Canucks opening videos for the next seasons to come in light of whatever future they may unknowingly predict? Okay, so I appreciate that you are so much into the videos. I know the Canucks production staff does an awesome job of them, whether it's zombies or whether it's Marvels and superheroes, but I see no correlation between what the videos do and what the world does. Zombies to COVID, I think is a bit of a stretch. And I do think that Marvel to Ukraine and Russia fighting is a bit of a stretch as well. So no, to answer your question, nuts and bolts, I do not see any correlation. And therefore, I don't look for the connection at all. But at least I did not ignore your question. Okay, Canucks fans, thanks for those questions. I hope I answered them to your satisfaction. In the comments below, you can react to any of my answers. You can still talk about the Besser Kuzma thing. Most importantly today, give me your predictions for the first round. Give me your 8 series winners. You don't have to give games, but you can if you want. And make sure you consider joining my hockey pool using the link in my video description. Deadline is on Wednesday for picks and payment. Shout out to my sponsors, Perform and Transform, personal training and weight loss. Sign up now for a free 7-day trial. Use the link in my video descriptions. To Van City Experts Real Estate Group, contact Jason Lim and his team for all of your real estate needs. And to legendary Lucas Gates, legendary Justin Credible, legendary Andrew Chang, and Hall of Fame members Jens95, Simalexander, Chris Seifert, Adam Broomfield, Shannon Hollingworth, Hsmfangirl Gaming, smoovegroove, and Carol Bovenlander. Thank you for your support as always, and thanks to the support of all members of all levels. You're listed in my video descriptions. If you want to become a member of the CCC Crew, press the join button underneath this or my videos on the memberships tab on my YouTube channel. Subscribe if you'd like to, like this video if you'd like to, become a member or upgrade your membership if you'd like to, and leave a comment down below if you'd like to. Give me your predictions for all NHL, all of the first round series, and don't forget to join my hockey pool. And if you made it this far, over 12 minutes in the video, then the keyword, the secret word is pool. Pool, as in jump in the pool, join my hockey pool, go play some pool, whatever it is, but put it in the comments so I know that you made it this far and that you watched this entire video. Okay, friends, as always, stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Have a great day. God bless, and go Canucks go.